Okay, boxing fans, right now we're going to talk to you about the hottest title fight in town. Frankie Gavin versus Kell Brook for the IBF welterweight title. If you've been living in a cave and you don't know how this fight has just been put together, what's basically happened was the IBF ordered Khan versus Bradley for an eliminator. Winner fights Kell Brook. Khan or his team pulled him out. Okay, they then offered it to Frankie Gavin. Frankie Gavin versus Bradley. Matchroom decided we'll pull Frankie Gavin out and we'll feck off this whole eliminator process. Feck that. We'll make Frankie Gavin versus Kell Brook now as a voluntary, and we'll put it on the 30th of May show. So that's been added to the show. It's set. We don't know if it's pay-per-view, but we suspect it's pay-per-view. But that's what it is, you know. This is the one. I'm going to bring in Craig first. Craig is Scottish, so expect a thick Scottish accent. Are you ready, Craig?
Yes, I am.
Cool. So, Frankie Gavin is getting the title shot against Kell Brook. Does he deserve this shot?
Not a chance in hell.
Nope. Hell no. Why?
He's not done anything to deserve it. I mean, his last fight, he should have really stopped that guy. I think he put everybody to sleep watching that. He barely beat Bradley Skeet, who was a 10-11 fight novice at the time. He barely beat him, and he won a unanimous decision. I don't know how it was a unanimous, but he's not really beat anybody to deserve a world title shot. The best person he's fought beat his ass in Bundu.
That's true.
So I don't know where all this is coming from.
Well, it's just an in-house fight, isn't it? That's what they like at Matchroom. Get them in-house. That's the money. So the only other question we've got for you is: does Frankie Gavin have a hope in hell of winning the title from Kell Brook?
I don't think he'll last past 6 rounds.
No.
I think this will be a Jojo Dan type of work for Brook. I think he'll just dominate him from the start, because Gavin starts quite slow and he gradually builds himself into the fight as the rounds go. So if Brook starts fast, then I don't see it going past the halfway stage.
Yeah, that's true. I've got another question to ask everyone at the end, but I'll leave that one for the end. So also one thing I do want to throw in is Gavin was supposed to be fighting Chris Van Heerden on the 9th, I think it was, the 9th of May. Instead, now he's fighting the 30th of May. Van Heerden is getting compensated, and he's not fighting him anymore, obviously. I don't actually know, and I don't think it's been made clear, if the 9th show in Birmingham is still going ahead. So that needs to be clarified by a lot of people. But we'll move on from that. We'll bring in Rory now. Rory, what do you think about this fight? Gavin, does he deserve his title shot?
Oh no, echoing what Craig said, it was ridiculous. To be honest, he's been in quite high up in the world rankings for a while, and it's always staggered me as to why, really. I mean, you look through his record, and the best win he's probably had was Denton Vassell. Now, considering Denton Vassell, I think he last fought at, where was it now? Yeah, at a hotel gala type thing in Glasgow, against a guy who was 7-6-1. It kind of pretty much tells you, if you're going off levels, which boxing is about, then Frankie Gavin's nowhere near world level. The only opponent I think he's fought that's fought for a world title was Bundu, and he lost relatively convincingly to Keith Thurman. Now Bundu as well is in his mid to late 30s. He's not some spring chicken. Gavin's never even won a European title. The only title Gavin has won is British and Commonwealth. And yet he's still getting, a world title shot. I understand that obviously it's an in-house fight and promoters and all the rest that go with it. But take that aside, he was still one of the mandatories. He was still fighting Chris Van Heerden for a, potential title shot. So it's not as if he wasn't, he's been completely hand-picked in the sense that, he was ranked 20th or something, and it was just a voluntary defence. He was ranked highly, and whoever, it's ridiculous. Is the honest answer. It's just stupid.
That's right. So what you're basically saying is you'd have liked to see him face Van Heerden beforehand, because you've got a better gauge of where he is, and it'll put another name on his record.
Well, yeah, and the thing that even if he shouldn't have been there in the first place, at least he's earned a bit of a title shot by beating someone who was equally as highly ranked.
True, I suppose, yeah.
I'd probably argue that neither of them should have been fighting for an eliminator, really. I don't think either of them should be as highly as they were. But that being said, at least winning a fight, they've deserved a shot. But
true that. But you can't get everything you want. So who is the more likely winner in this fight? Would you give? That's not the question. Would you give Frankie Gavin a hope in hell's chance as of today?
No, I don't even think he'll go 6 rounds like Craig said. I think he'll probably be out in 4.
People don't have a lot of
no,
faith.
I mean, well, the thing is, he came into his last fight overweight. Everyone is pretty much of the belief that welterweight is actually probably too big for him. He should be a light welterweight. And if you can't even make welterweight, then you question how much desire he has for it. He's a very talented lad, but I think it's all gone to waste because of his dedication. And you look at that, and he's got no people on his record. He starts very slowly in fights. He won't have come up really against anyone with the sort of power as Brook. I mean, Leonard Bundu had him down and had him caught in their fight, even though it ended up going the full 12. And Bundu's no great puncher. So with all that being said, Brook absolutely demolishes him. I would be surprised if he didn't retire. That's how badly I think he'll be beaten.
Damn, that's badly beaten. That's badly beaten, mate. We'll move on. We'll bring in Paul. Paul, how you doing, pal? You enjoying this video?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Good. So the next question for you is the first one, obviously, which is, does Frankie Gavin deserve this title shot?
There's been worse voluntary title defences. There's over that I could think of. Paul Smith fighting Arthur Abraham being one of them. A recent one. Like I said, it's not a fight he deserves, no, but there's so many fighters who get title shots that they don't deserve now that it's not really worth kicking up a stink about, because there's far worse examples.
Damn right. And the next question is, are you going to give him a hope in hell's chance of winning this fight?
No, not at all. It's been said by the guys, Frankie Gavin is not a welterweight. He should never be fighting at 147, but the only reason he does is because he simply just can't be arsed losing a bit of weight and getting down to 140 where he belongs. And he's always had problems with his weight. Even going back to when he was an amateur, he turned up for the Olympics in Beijing and got sent home because he was too fat and couldn't lose the weight on time. And basically, all the hope that people had for him for winning a gold medal went down the toilet because he couldn't keep on top of his weight. And it's been the same problem his entire professional career as well. He's never really impressed me in any fight he's had. Maybe that's just his style, because his style's ugly and it's dull. But I've never ever been blown away by Frankie Gavin's performances. And after every fight I've ever seen him in, I've always thought to myself, this guy could clearly be better than this if he just went down a weight. But I don't think he's going to win. To answer the question, I don't think he's going to win at all, because he struggled against far less talented fighters than Brook. He got beat up by Leonard Bundu, who's the only top 20 guy he's ever fought. And he fought Bradley Skeet recently. And Bradley Skeet is several leagues below Kell Brook. And even Bradley Skeet pushed him close. So when you get pushed close by a British level fighter in Bradley Skeet, and you're getting beat up by a European/fringed world level fighter in Leonard Bundu, it doesn't give you much optimism that he's got any chance in the world against Kell Brook. Because whether you like Kell Brook or don't, you have to admit now that he is a genuine world level fighter.
That's right, yeah. That's true. The other thing I want to pull in is, one of the things Amir Khan said at the beginning of this whole thing was Kell Brook's fighting cream puffs, basically. He doesn't deserve a fight with me, and the first thing that Matchroom go and do is prove it by fighting Frankie Gavin, who, like we said, is a guy who's a 140-pound fighter who can't be asked to make 140 pounds.
No, go on.
Go on.
The moment Frankie Gavin signed with Matchroom, everyone knew this was what was going to happen.
Oh, of course, we know that. Even Thingo said that he wants to build Frankie Gavin up and then match him against him. I know.
Yeah. No one.
What they've done is they've took away the building up process and just went, but you can have him now. Have him
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They signed Frankie Gavin purely so they could build him up to fight Kell Brook, make it a big pay-per-view at maybe the end of the year or early next year. And they've had to push it forwards, bring it forward to this year, because Amir Khan doesn't want to know when it comes to fighting Kell Brook. They apparently aren't really... the American names like Rios and Beto that I've heard being bandied around for Kell Brook, I think they probably want to fight them later on in the year now. Kell Brook wants a keep busy fight on this May show, and Gavin is available. He's high in the IBF rankings for God knows what reason. And it's an in-house fight, and sadly it will make quite a bit of money and it will get quite a bit of national interest because it's two Brits fighting for a world title. And whenever two Brits fight for a world title, whether it's a mismatch or not, it's going to get some attention and it's going to make some money.
It's true. It's true. I mean, the last question I've got, and we'll just go straight on to the last question now, is who are more deserving fighters to fight for the title? And I mean, this is just, anyone can say anyone's name now. I mean, Bundu, would you accept Bundu to fight over Gavin? I would.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Bundu's better.
What Bundu
Yeah.
did, Gavin?
Yeah,
Bundu
I know.
beat Gavin.
I know Bundu took a bit of a kicking off Keith Thurman, but yeah, as you said, he did beat Frankie Gavin. He did beat Lee Purdy on Sky recently, so Sky viewers will know who he is. And like I said, Bundu's still a top 20 guy for me. And Frankie Gavin's maybe a top 20 guy, but he hasn't beaten anyone in the top 20.
I don't think he's a top 20 guy.
If
Honestly,
he is top 20, he just scrapes it for me.
I honestly don't think he is.
And in an ideal world, top 20 shouldn't be enough to get you a title fight. It should be only guys who are in maybe the top 5 or top 10, not top 20. But that's not an ideal world, is it?
No, we don't live in ideals.
Sometimes we get guys who are not even in the top 100 getting title fights.
True that. I mean, Rios. Would you say Rios?
Yeah.
Beto.
Yeah.
Beto's coming off a good win.
No, I wouldn't accept Beto.
Beto
No.
over Gavin.
Over Gavin, but Beto just won a fight against Lopez, and he was losing that fight until he got the stoppage. And Lopez is shot. Beto's not special for me.
One thing I want to point out is now they're setting the bar extremely low.
Yeah, that's the point.
I mean, who do you think's going to win this fight? Gavin versus Jojo Dan?
Gavin would win it for me, but he wouldn't win it anywhere near as well as Kell Brook would. He'd probably win as a really boring decision.
It's a close fight, you know.
Yeah.
It's just one of them fights.
I mean, you'd pretty much accept any gatekeeper type welterweight, you know, over Gavin as well. Like, you know, even the likes of, say, Alexander, even though he got schooled by Khan, I'd probably still have Alexander. I'd probably have Polly Malignaggi, even though he's not fought in ages. I'd have Maidana, even though he seems about 15 stone. I'd have, you know, Guerrero. You know, just someone who perhaps brings a bit of, I don't know, a bit of a name. I mean, even Frankie Gavin, to the man on the street in the UK, no one knows who he is. So it's like, you know, do you know what I mean? It's just...
Exactly. Oh, well, you know, it's on a monthly card. Can't really... I'm not asked. I mean, it's just funny, innit? You've got to laugh, haven't you? Because if it's on pay-per-view, I'm not buying it, but...
Yeah, like I said, it's not a terrible fight for me. I've seen far worse guys fight for world titles. It's just, we know what's going to happen.
Low. It's pretty low.
And we know what's going to happen. Gavin's going to get battered.
I mean, you can hope.
A few rounds.
You can hope that the fact it's a world title, Gavin goes, oh, best start sorting out the weight a bit and training a bit harder. And I imagine, I tell you what, if he came in over 147 and it was then not a title fight, that would be hilarious.
That would be unbelievable, because the thing is, the difference between him and Kell Brook is going to be night and day anyway. Because the size of Brook, you know, he's a guy who, when I saw him when he wasn't in training, he was bigger than Carl Froch. And Carl Froch and him were standing next to each other, you know, on Sky. And I was thinking, Jesus, he's bigger than Carl. You know what I mean? And he gets himself all the way down to 147. You know what I mean? And like Frankie Gavin, he's a 140-pound fighter at the end of the day. You know, he just can't be asked.
It's just effort in it.
He's gonna get demolished. I reckon he's honestly gonna get demolished. Shall we leave it there, guys?
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.